Hey guys, this is me, Kevin Murphy, on my channel called Narcissistic Abuse, Learning Who I Am Again. This is going to be a pretty unique topic tonight as this is another topic I don't really see on the boards that much. This is also a topic that may, may offend some of my viewers. That, of course, is not the intent. But I feel like this is a topic that needs to be discussed because this is something that I have dealt with, and I'm pretty sure some of my viewers have also dealt with this issue too. And I'm here to talk about our relationship with God post narcissistic abuse. So, some of my viewers might be, as I've said on other videos, some of my viewers may not be Christian, may not believe in God at all, which is totally fine. I don't judge that. I don't have any problem with it one way or another. But I really feel that this is a topic that should be discussed because I've experienced it myself. And I really feel that other people have also experienced anger with God after narcissistic abuse. So, I'm going to share my story a little bit and hopefully give some tips and advice on how to deal with if you find yourself in a situation like this. So I became a Christian back in 2005 when I was in college, and I wasn't really aware of narcissistic abuse or narcissism or anything related to this back then. I knew that my family of origin was pretty toxic and that there were some issues there, but I never knew, there was never a name to put to it. But I've always had this fascination to know more about religion and to know more about God, and I've always wanted to go to church and to worship God and to really develop a relationship with Him. And I really didn't know exactly what that looked like, but it was something that was really intriguing to me. And it was something that I've always wanted ever since I was probably 6, 7, 8 years old. And so I've always had this desire to really know who God was. And I would say I've been praying ever since I was a little kid. And there were times where I would take my brother and I would go in the room and we would pray together before we go to bed. That was something that I did every single night, and it was something that was very important to me to really experience and to learn more about God and to know more about prayer and the church and things like that. And so I finally had that opportunity when I was in college, and ever since then, I've been a Christian for 13 years, and it seemed as if ever since I started going to church and ever since I started developing a relationship with God, a lot of things have started to change. And, my parents separated the second or might have been the third year when I became a Christian. A lot of chaotic things started to happen within my family when I became a Christian. And over time, not right away, I started blaming God for those things that have happened to me. I started feeling a sense of injustice, harboring grudges against Him. And I briefly touched on this in a video that I made back in January called Feeling Sorry for Self After Narcissistic Abuse. So if you haven't watched that video, I would really suggest watching that video as well. But I didn't really talk too much about God or talk too much about the importance of releasing the anger or the feelings of injustice that we feel toward God. So I harbored this grudge for so long, and there would be days where I would just not go to church. Some weekends I would stop reading the Bible. I would stop communicating with God altogether. There was this time back in 2008 where I just stopped going to church altogether, and I told some of my friends that I went to church with that I was going to not be a Christian anymore, that I was going to stop following God and stop, reading the Bible and praying and things like that. And so for years, I held this grudge towards God. I mean, over a decade, I would hold this grudge against him. And I felt this sense of entitlement. Like I felt like, you know, I serve you and I pray to you and I read my Bible and I do this and I do that, but yet you give me this crappy life and you allow you allow my parents to be abusive toward me, or um, you allowed this to happen, or you allowed that to happen. And this especially happens when we have friends in our lives or acquaintances or people in our lives that have the things that we've been praying for so many years. Like we could be praying for a good job, or we could be praying for stability in our family, or restoration in a broken relationship with a family member. And we could have other friends in our lives and other people in our lives who have the very things that we've been asking God for. So it's in our mind we feel that God is somehow taunting us by giving this friend or giving that acquaintance or giving that person the very thing that we've been asking for, the very thing that we've been wanting and we've been praying for. And this kind of stuff can get us into trouble because we're operating out of our brokenness. We're operating out of our broken self. And somehow we're putting the blame on God for the things that our narcissist has done. Because our expectation of God is he's all knowing, he's all powerful. How can a loving father and a loving God allow these things to happen? Why would God allow me to be molested? Why would God allow me to be abused? Why would God allow me to be bullied? Why would God allow me to go through such hell in my life? And I've been there, like I have, and there's days where I still go there, where I encounter this perceived injustice in my life, and I'll find myself shutting down and not going to church and not reading my Bible and not praying. Like I mean, there's been times I've gone weeks without praying and months without opening up my Bible because I feel this sense of injustice and grudge and this beef with God. And so one of the things that has helped me over time, because a lot of Christians that I've ran into would say things like, "Oh, you should not get mad at God," or "Oh, you shouldn't express that. It's blasphemous for you to tell God that you're mad at Him," and things like that. And I don't believe in that. I look at it this way: my relationship with God is just like my relationship with a normal, stable parent. we those who've had normal stable parents or have an idea of what a normal stable parent looks like, you're going to get mad at your parents. You're going to not understand everything that they do. Just like I don't understand everything that God has allowed to happen in my life, and I still don't. And I may never have all the understanding of what He's trying to do. But it's just like with the narcissist. Like if we keep holding this grudge against the narcissist, we're going to become bitter. We're going to become toxic. We're going to have all that filth and all that junk in us, just like the narcissist does. And one of the reasons why the narcissist became narcissistic in the first place is because their narcissistic caregiver, their narcissistic parent didn't pay any attention to them, neglected them, abused them mentally, physically, whatever, psychologically. And what happened was, instead of them taking the time to work on those wounds and work on themselves, they internalize all that hatred, all that pain, and all that negativity, and they became entitled. They became selfish, and they felt that the world owes them a better life because that narcissistic parent or original caregiver did not give them the love and the support and the nurturing that they deserved. And that original part where the narcissists themselves have gone through that, That's the part where I can't empathize with the narcissist. Where I can't empathize with the narcissist is the fact that they stayed in that place and they never got the healing. They never got the help. They never took the responsibility for their emotions and allowed the healing process to take place. And it's the same thing with God. God understands that we're angry with him. He understands the 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 trauma that we went through. Why did we go through the trauma? Why did God allow us or pick us to deal with narcissistic parents and deal with abuse and things like that? I don't have an answer for you. But what I do have an answer to is the fact that we must release that anger. We must release that grudge that we have toward God and realize that, the more we stay angry with God, the more we're going to become like that narcissist that we were raised by, like that narcissist that we were in relationship with, like that narcissist that we were friends with. We don't want to become like that. So if you feel, and a lot of people are going to disagree with me, but I felt that this has worked for me. If you feel pissed off with God and you feel like you're angry with him, let him know. Tell him. Shout it out. Tell God exactly how you feel. Tell him everything that's going on in your heart. Tell him everything that's going on in your soul. If you want to say, if you want to curse while you're praying, whatever, do it. Say, God, this shit sucks. I don't fucking understand why you're doing this to me. I don't understand why you gave Sally better parents than you gave me. I feel like you don't love me. I feel like shit. I don't like this shit. Fuck it. I'm tired of going through this. And I mean, be real with God. Be real with where you are, because he already knows your heart. He already knows where you are, and you'll be surprised at how much better you will feel once you release that anger, once you release that tension, once you release all of that filth that's in you. Because no, none of this stuff is fair. No human being should ever be abused or mistreated by their parents, by their friends, by their spouse, by their pastor. No matter, it doesn't matter. And a lot of times we get so angry with God, and we find that He is responsible for our pain. He's responsible for for the reason why we went through these things, and it's not. And we just, what we have to do as survivors, we have to stop looking to place the blame on ourselves. We have to stop looking to place the blame on the narcissist. We have to stop looking to place the blame on God, and to realize that these things happen to us, and we have to look at a way to really get past these the trauma that we've endured, and not point fingers at, oh, it's God's fault, oh, it's the narcissist's fault, oh, it's my brother's fault, oh, if only my mother wasn't with him, or if only my dad would have left and divorced that narcissistic bitch, or divorced that asshole, or divorced so and so and so, then I would be all right. We have to stop we have to stop doing that, because then we're still being the victim. We're still living our lives as victims. And that's something that we have to break. We have to break that cycle and break that role that narcissist has assigned us. And that narcissist has assigned us to be lifetime victims. And if you don't want to be a lifetime victim, then you have to release that anger. You have to, even if you go to the gym and hit a bag, I've done that too. Hit a bag, and or just express in prayer and just say, God, this really sucks. And like I said, even if you have to drop a few F bombs, even if you have to say fuck, shit, damn, whatever, it's freeing to get it out and to really get it off of your chest. And God is not going to be offended by how you feel. God is not going to strike you to hell. God is not going to, you haven't committed the unpardonable sin. You are a human being and you are expressing your emotions that he already knows that you have. And all he's wanting is a relationship and wanting you to trust him and wanting you to express those emotions to him. Because this life is messy. We've all, as survivors who've watched these YouTube videos, who've been watching my channel for a while, we've all endured horrific events in our lives that were very unfair, that's very psychologically complicated, mentally complicated, and very devastating. And we, as survivors, are looking for a way to understand, or looking for answers for why this happened, or why was I chosen, why me. It's not fair that he gets good parents but I didn't. What did I do wrong to deserve this? Or the narcissist might have told you, and sometime, that you're cursed, or you are a bad person, so this is why you have a shitty life, or something like that. And you have to get that narc out of your head, and you have to focus on healing. And one of the steps to really healing and to finding your journey is finding your way on the journey is releasing that anger and releasing those grudges and releasing that those feelings of pain and agony, especially toward God and toward um, you know the only one that can help you. Because I'm gonna tell you, this journey for me would have been a lot harder if I didn't have God in my life. This journey would have been a lot more difficult if I did not have God to go to in prayer, in journaling. And there's time I went to him in times of happiness and in times of sadness and in times of confusion and everything. I have gone to him and praised him for the big victories that I have accomplished on this journey. I have gone to him during the times of confusion and say, God, I don't understand what you're doing here, but I'm going to trust you anyway. I have gone to him in anger and in pain and say, fuck God, fuck this God. I don't understand this. I don't understand that. I don't know why you're doing this, and this is bullshit. And I don't understand why are you doing this. It's not disrespectful. It's not. You're not cursing God. You are releasing your stress. You're releasing your pain and your misunderstandings, and you're trying to fix that relationship by being honest and having an honest and open relationship with God. And a lot of people who is watching this video, they're not going to understand what I'm saying here. It's okay, but I'm just saying that this has worked for me. Um, Narcissistic abuse is not something that is very easy for anybody. Um, Even people who don't, especially people who don't understand it, especially people who have not been through it, they're not going to understand the dynamics of being upset with God or being upset with your parents or experiencing all of those negative emotions. So there's going to be times where you're going to be misunderstood. You're not going to get that support or that pat on the shoulder that you really want. And that's why survivors have to break out of that victim mode, out of that victim mentality, because that victim mentality wants that pat on the back, wants that unconditional understanding. And to be honest with you, we're not going to get that from everybody. So I would suggest being open and honest with your feelings, being open and honest with where you are with God, and to not allow the narcissist to keep you quiet and to keep you mute. I've also said this in other videos where the narcissist doesn't want us to express ourselves. They don't want us to be a light to anyone else. They want to keep us quiet. They want to keep us in our place where our head is down, we're feeling ashamed of ourselves, we're not looking people in the eye, we're not confident in things like that. And that's, and you don't want that. If for those who on my channel who follow Jesus, who follow God, who go to church, I would suggest that if you have ever experienced anger with Him, if you've ever experienced feeling that sense of injustice toward God, I would suggest writing a journal, expressing to Him that, I love you, but I don't feel, I feel a sense of injustice. I feel like you don't love me. I feel like, where were you when I was being abused? Where were you when I was molested? Where were you when I was going through this? And those are things that, you know, you're releasing all of that pain and that anguish and that angst towards Him, and you're getting your life back on track. So I know this was a pretty lengthy video. This was a video on anger with God post narcissistic abuse. Please stay tuned for more videos. I thank all my subscribers so far. My channel has been slowly but surely growing. So I thank all my survivors and subscribers. Please like and continue to subscribe to my channel as I will continue to make videos on this topic of narcissistic abuse. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening, and I will see you soon. Bye.